Managing Career Transitions. And presenters today are David Munn and myself, Sean Stovall. I'd like to start out about our commitment to inclusion and accessibility here at SNHU. At our school, creating an inclusive and accessible learning environment is a priority. Your experience is crucial, and if you require accommodations, please reach out to the respective centers. Online students, please email OAC at snhu.edu or reach out by phone 866-305-9430. Campus students, please reach out to CAC at snhu.edu, phone number 603-644-3188. And SNHU staff and faculty, just reach out to HR at snhu.edu. With that being covered, I think we're ready to introduce our presenters at this time. First up is David Munn. David Munn is a career advisor too at SNHU, working with military affiliated students and alumni in the business vertical. He had previously been a career advisor one in the social science vertical. David has been with SNHU since November 2020 and is passionate about helping military affiliated students and alumni. David is continually evolving his career development skills and is currently a POSAC change management practitioner, certified career transition coach, hidden job market coach, and veteran career strategist. In addition, David is experienced in the job search process, which includes career decision making, job description analysis, marketing, document development, branding, and interview preparation. Last, David is an Army, National Guard, and Air Force Reserve retiree. David has been married to Elaine for 25 years and lives in New Middletown, Ohio. So David's bringing so much to this presentation today.
All right. Yeah, let me introduce my partner, Sean Stovall. Sean Stovall serves as a military career advisor at SNHU, working with students and alumni in the business vertical. Sean brings 20 plus years of experience in leading, training, and developing others. His passion for assisting individuals in reaching their full potential and expansive industry knowledge in manufacturing, healthcare, higher ed, and consulting have positioned him as a trusted advisor and coach. Prior to joining the private sector, Sean served in the United States Army. Sean received his Master of Education in Human Resource Development from Xavier University, that's in Cincinnati, Ohio, and a Bachelor of Arts in History from Western Kentucky University. He enjoys spending time with his family.
Thank you, Dave, for that introduction. Now, let's dive into the presentation. We're going to start off with our learning objectives for today. By the end of this presentation, you will understand the difference between change and transition, identify the three stages of transition, recognize career activities through the stages, and apply the personal power grid to career transitions. So let's start out talking about the difference between change and transition. There is a difference between the two. If you look at the definition, change is an event, whereas transition is a process. Now, change can happen quickly, whereas transition can happen quickly or slowly. Usually, change launches us into transition. So that's one thing you need to understand about this definition. Change is an event versus transition is internal process. Keep that in mind as we go through this presentation. This is the bridge model developed by Dr. William Bridges. There are many change management models out there, but this one is one of the most popular ones, popular models that exist today. And what we're going to do, we're going to examine each one of the stages, and David's going to unpack each stage and speak a little bit about what takes place in each one of the stages of this William Bridges model. Some examples of transition, and many of us have experienced this, gone through some form of transition during our life. Job loss is an example of a transition that takes place, military to the civilian community, graduating college, like many of you are about to do, graduating college to enter the marketplace is a major transition, and moving to a different city is another type of transition. There are other, but I just wanted to list these four here and just give you some examples of the transitions that may take place. Transitions are normal parts of our journey that impact our experiences and can lead to growth. Transition is simply the way in which life moves on and unfolds. Let me say that again. Transition is simply the way in which life moves on and unfolds. The ending, then the beginning pattern represents the way a person changes and grows. So there are many positives that could come out of a transition, and many people think of transition sometimes a negative piece, but they could turn them into positives, and you grow. There's an opportunity to grow in transition. William Bridges stated, William Bridges said that transition is a personal experience, not just about external change itself. And we identified this early on in the difference between change and transition, whereas transition is a process, but also it's a personal experience for many as well. Navigating transitions. It is okay to feel uncomfortable during transition. You don't have to, you don't know what you don't know. And the way to resolve this, questions are the way you can get to know. Don't hesitate to ask for help during your time of transition because there are many unknowns during the transition process. Right now, I'm turning it over to David. He's going to unpack each of the stages of transition.
Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate that. And I absolutely concur with that. It resonates with me, that transition process, because it's can be very challenging. Um, we really letting go of the past. And again, ending is the first stage, but being able to let go of the past is very difficult sometimes because it's a loss. And think about any kind of loss, loss of an identity, a routine, your relationships. And I know most of you can really empathize with that. Also, a chance to look at what you've left behind. In the military, we call it after action. So we talk about what we've done well and what we could improve on. So it's just an opportunity to kind of reflect a little bit. It's okay to feel uncertain or sad. I've got a story of a student that I work with, and he was a project manager. He had 20 years of experience in the field, had all the certifications. He came to me and said, I'm interviewing almost every day, and I'm not getting any offers. And so, just through talking to him, I found that he was pretty angry and bitter about what had happened to him, his loss of his job. And so it was a real opportunity to explore some of those things because I think he kind of felt like I'm just going to leave the past in the past, get on with it, move ahead. But you can almost guarantee that employers are going to ask you about your former experience or previous experience. So being able to kind of address those and to start the process. So this is a really good example, again, because a loss usually requires grieving. And, we have to do these things before we move on. And so it's not about blaming or shaming. It's just saying that it mattered. And that's really important to moving on. So the next stage is the neutral zone. So this one can be really interesting. I kind of think about what Sean said about you don't know what you don't know. So when you've left something behind, part of that is starting to think about, what did I like about that? And that includes the role, the company, the industry. So we kind of look at those things, those three things when we're making transitions is, did I like, what part of my job did I like to do when I really enjoyed? And, there's always that I didn't enjoy this, but that's fine. And then what about the company did I enjoy? What about the industry do I like? So this is a really good opportunity for us to kind of embrace that it's okay to not know, but we can really we can take this opportunity to get information. A lot of times with the military transition, if you're coming from one industry, which would be the defense industry, to the private industry, you really don't know a lot about how that works. So it's a really great opportunity to reach out to people, to new people, find out, start thinking about, again, once we let that past go and we pick up what we want to take with us, it helps us move forward. Okay. And so it's really a sense of gaining control or mastery. We'll talk about that over this process, this transition process. So it helps us with our sense of purpose and value, and that's often the biggest reason why people leave their industry or their job, because of values. All right, so this is a really great place to be. It can be disorienting, confusing. It could feel like you're directionless or you're not doing something productive, but in honesty, it is very productive. Okay, so it gives us a chance to really get excited about moving on, getting our purpose. And then this is really an awesome stage, because for me it's a feeling of being productive. Okay, and being a military person, and I like being productive. I like working. I like engaging, and this is a great opportunity to start setting some goals. Developing those new relationships, and just embracing the future, the challenges, and the successes. And it's such an awesome stage. And so just being able to kind of work through some of those different stages, and giving yourself an opportunity to work through them, is really important. So I'm gonna turn it back over to Sean. He's going to talk about some strategies for each of these stages, and really kind of help you add some, put some meat on your plate. All right, Sean, it's yours.
Right. Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate that. And, some strategy for each transition stage. And pretty much we focus on mention the career transition. Transition can happen in any type of variety of situations, but here we're focusing on the career transition piece. And we talk about the ending. And journaling the process of feelings. Dave really spoke about the how you felt and going through the grieving process, but it's really good to journal your feelings, and write them down in detail, because throughout when you are journaling, I mean, you take on different perspectives about what has actually taken place with the ending that you just gone through, and also celebrating the achievements, in this case of a previous role. This refers to some type of maybe a job loss or something that you may be losing in the past, but celebrate the achievements, because there are some achievements attached to whatever's ending in your specific life. So really celebrate those achievements. Now, in the neutral zone, many unknowns. This is where we are in, as David referred to, a lot of uncertainty, many unknowns, uncharted waters, as we call it at times. So this is a great opportunity for you to start to, especially during a career transition, start engaging in career exploration activities. Enhance your resume, networking, branding. Look at that LinkedIn profile and actually look at your branding statement there. Having informal, informational interviews to explore your interests. And if you look at all of these particular activities, you can gain some help in all of this by reaching out to our career center, speaking with an advisor to help walk you through many of these processes that we have listed here in the neutral zone. So I encourage you to do that. If you're going through a transition, any type of career situation, please reach out to the career center and we can help you with these activities. New beginnings, setting specific career goals to start off and make a commitment to your new beginning out there. This is so important. Actually, you could start this process in the neutral zone, but in the new beginning, you should start working towards those goals. Understand what your current state may be and working to that future state that you want to accomplish. So, setting specific goals becomes very important during this specific stage. The next piece, I want to introduce you to a grid that's called a personal power grid. This grid could be said to cover all of life. The grid provides a framework to assess situations based on the control we have and actions we take. The grid enables us to choose where to focus our attention. You know, I like this where to focus our attention. It's important during a career transition to understand where to focus your attention. And this really helps you to pin down and focus where your energy needs to be and where you need to focus on during a career transition. Uh, the grid enables us to choose where to focus our attention and expand our energy. It is a valuable tool when we focus on the negative or are feeling disempowered and want to move forward in a constructive way. And that's one thing about a career transition. We always want to move forward in a productive, in a constructive way during that time. So, if you look at the grid here, we have two columns, the control column and the cannot control column. On the side, we have the roles, we have to act and don't act. We're going to start with the cannot control column and start thinking about what are some things out there that we cannot control. And when I think of that, I think in terms of we cannot control others' behavior, cannot control others' attitude, we cannot control the economy, we cannot control the weather. These are just a few things we cannot control out there. So when you think of things you cannot control, you list them all in this column. Next, I wanted to switch to the control column. What are some things we can't control out there? And the things we can't control, the first thing come to my mind, I can't control my weight if I work on it. If I work on it, I can control my weight. I can control my behaviors. I can control my attitude. I can control how I communicate with others. It's just to name a few things that we can't control out there. So keep that in mind as we go through this exercise around how we act and don't act. So if you think in terms of the cannot control column, if we decide to act on things that you cannot control, the results will be senseless striving. And what I mean by senseless striving, trying to affect things beyond your control. It can feel frustrating with no sense of accomplishment. I always like to use the example of this, you just marking time or just marching in place. You're not really going anywhere. You just sitting there just having your having your just going up and down with your just marching in place. That's what we call it. And you're not going anywhere. It's ceaseless striving. There's nothing productive in that. That's when you're acting on something you cannot control. Now you think about that. We list some things in that cannot control column and some examples like weather, other behaviors. How many times you find yourself out there trying to act on others' communication? You cannot control that. And it's frustrating to you because you cannot do anything about it at that particular time. So let's move over to the control column. Think in terms of what are some things that we can control. We had some of those examples earlier that you don't act on. I use the example of my weight. It's a good example. Now, I can control my weight if I don't have any type of medical condition, but if I don't act on it, exercising, eating healthier, or anything like, I'm giving up. I'm acting helpless or hopeless and like a victim. You know, folks sit back and complain because I'm not doing something or complain about my weight, but I'm not doing anything about it. I'm giving up on that particular piece. So, what about items in the, let's go back to the cannot control column. What about items in the cannot control that we don't act on? Pretty much what we need to do with that is letting go. We need to let that go because we can't act on it and we cannot control it either. So, the last quadrant here, acting on things that we can't control. That leads to mastery here. I can't control my communication. I can't control my behavior. I can control many of these things that I put in this column, But do I really act on them? I need to act on these particular pieces and stay away from the other columns that I cannot control, like the cease of striving column and I don't act on giving out. I need to do something about some of these things I can act on and control. So by visualizing your career transition as a personal power grid, you'll be able to manage your strengths, energy, and goals in a more balanced and efficient way. This concept can help you take a proactive stance in managing energy, priorities, and resources as you move from one phase of your career to another. So, to sum this up, pretty much this provides you balance and gives you a focus of where to concentrate your energy during a transition process or during a transition moment. It's where it helps. And Dave has an example of using this particular process during one of his times of transition.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I want to give you an example of when I graduated from a master's program, and I was looking for a job, and I uh, I thought for sure that I would be able to have a job where I was going to school, but unfortunately, I wasn't. I wasn't able to get that job, and so I did a lot of applying and sending out resumes and cover letters for a lot of different jobs, and I was, you know, just kind of hoping against hope that it would be the right resume or it would be the right cover letter, and I was trying to just trying to figure out why I wasn't getting called. And so I started to think about maybe what can I do to help myself, what can I do to get control, because again, this I was acting, I was not having control. I was sending out that striving, sending a lot of applications, and I wasn't getting any responses. And then you know I think there was some parts of that that I was I had control over, but I wasn't acting on. And that was really those things outside of those things that weren't as comfortable to me, like networking. And I'm a pretty outgoing person, but I think I needed to get outside of my fear, and that's what really helped me to get, sort of feel in control of that process of just reaching out and maybe looking at my job search in a different way, making that transition, and that ended up being the key. One of them was looking at different roles that basically got me pointed in the right direction, and then I was able to get that to find a job in that industry. So how about you, Sean?
Well, thanks, Dave, for sharing that. I have an example of just when I transitioned from the military to the civilian community. Um, I didn't think it would be a difficult transition, but I found out that while I was in the midst of transitioning out of the military and meeting with different employers and and speaking with different folks out there, there was perception that many people had of the military folks, and and I used to hear talk around that, and used to hear that from some folks I would network with, and I would let that perception initially drive me to really not doing anything because I always felt like that employers are not going to receive me well. And this is applicable in all aspects of life. You're living life based on perception of others. So I was out of control with that because I was actually basing everything I was doing based on others' perceptions, especially about military personnel. So how could I gain control of this? Only thing I could have done was to behave or act in a way that's professional, that that wouldn't satisfy the perception that other people may have. And I think that really helped me because I got out of the mode of, I took control of my own behaviors and my own activities and really downplayed the perceptions that people had of military personnel. And that really helped me a lot and helped me to gain control. I felt empowered as I was going forward and finding employment in the civilian sector. So that's my example of a transition that took place. I have many more, but that's just one example. And now Dave have more, he has more as well. But we just wanted to provide some example of views how this grid can help you to focus and take control of your own activities and not spend a lot of time acting on things you cannot control. So hopefully this grid will help you as you go through your career transition or any transition in life. I think thinking about this process and these grids and which quadrant you spend most of your time in will really help you in having a successful transition. So, with that being said, David, I would like to thank you for attending our presentation today. And if you have any questions or you any follow up, please reach out to our Career Center. And the information is here on the slide here. And we'd be more than happy to help in any way in working through your transition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.